Hey everybody, and good Friday morning. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here. It's an update on our snow that's heading our way for very late tonight and heading into Saturday morning. For a lot of the area, this will be the biggest one storm snow event of the season so far. Of course, we haven't had very many big ticket snow events thus far in the winter season. And again, for a lot of places, this will be the most accumulation that you see from one singular storm in one day during the winter of 2019-2020, which has been kind of a dud so far in terms of snow and cold. It's plenty cold outside this morning. We still have some lingering flurries across parts of northeast Ohio and western PA. Nothing impactful there. This is our weather maker out here. It's starting to get better organized as it moves through the Midwest. It's producing snow from St. Louis up towards Des Moines over into Omaha as well. And of course, it is tracking in this direction. The timing on this has really not changed much since we first started honing in on this a couple of days ago. This is not coming this evening. No problems for your Friday afternoon, evening commute. All evening, if you want to go out to dinner or anything like that, you'll be just fine. Here comes the snow after midnight. I'm going to show you the high-resolution simulated radar here, model radar for the overnight. This is midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. This is when I think the snow is starting to become a little more likely. During the wee hours of the morning, we're talking an average start time of probably 2 to 4 a.m. across the area, when most of us will not be on the roads, thankfully, and thankfully it is a Saturday, so we're not going to be dealing with school adjustments because of this, but it will still be impactful for those who do need to travel for Saturday morning. Starting around 2, 3, 4 a.m., it'll begin to snow, and it'll begin to stick, and the roads will deteriorate pretty rapidly, I think. Now, as we get towards the daylight hours and when more people are awake, this is when the forecast gets a little bit tricky, because there is going to be a few thousand feet above our heads a pretty good punch of warmer air. And when I say warmer, I don't mean 80 degrees. I mean air that's above 32, above freezing. And that's going to try to punch in, and at some point this is going to try to change our snow over to either a snow-sleet mixture or all sleet or some sort of a mix. The big forecasting challenge today is, when does this occur? A lot of times this occurs faster than some of the modeling is suggesting. That warm nose is more aggressive than the models suggest a day or so out. So this is, I've paused things at 7 o'clock Saturday morning. I still think we're largely snow, but you'll notice there's a few specks of peach in here. The model's trying to hint that we might see a few sleet pellets trying to mix in. Now, the sooner we see some mixed precipitation, some sleet, something other than snow, the lower snow amounts will be. The less sleet we see and the more delayed that transition to mixed precipitation is, the more snow accumulation we'll see. That's our tricky forecast challenge for today. This particular run of this particular model keeps it largely snow with maybe some mixed precipitation through about mid-morning. By about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, I think a lot of us are seeing a transition over to some sort of a mix of snow, sleet, rain, technically maybe some freezing rain, but temperatures will be right around 32, so I don't think freezing rain is going to be very impactful. We're not looking at an ice storm or anything like that. And then, yes, finally we'll see a change over to just some plain old rain showers for parts of the afternoon. That transition will occur from west to east. The last places to see the transition to just plain old rain will be in far eastern Mercer County. It may take until early afternoon for that to occur out there. All right, so that being said, because this is a tricky forecast, we're not going gung-ho or crazy with the snow totals. Right now, I think the most likely snow accumulation for most of our area is around 4 inches. Now, you'll be a little lower than that if we start to see some mixed precipitation closer to daybreak, and we might be a little higher than that 4-inch amount in places that don't see much of a transition to a wintry mix until very late in the morning. So an average for our entire viewing area of right around 4 inches is what I think is the most likely accumulation at this point. That forecast is a little bit higher than the one I went out with yesterday, mostly because I do think that the snow, even though we might see some mixed precipitation coming in, when it is snowing for the first handful of hours, it's going to snow pretty hard. It's going to have no trouble sticking, and so I think we can get a few inches pretty quickly in just a matter of maybe 3 or 4 hours. So keep that in mind if you're going to be on the roads Saturday morning, especially early. If you have to go to work at 7 a.m., say, and work the day shift somewhere, the roads are going to be very, very tricky during that 6 to 7 o'clock period. Saturday morning. That includes the main roads, especially if they're not treated. Any untreated surface, including secondary roads, sidewalks, parking lots, etc., will be very, very snow-covered and tricky and slippery and slushy for the first half of the day. And of course, visibility will be reduced, and that can especially be problematic before the sun comes up tomorrow morning when it's still dark outside and it's snowing hard. That makes for very tricky travel conditions. So just to recap the timing of things, here's our snow starting around 2 to 4 a.m. and wrapping up by late morning. That mixed precipitation is most likely around mid-morning and transitioning over to some light rain very late in the morning in our western areas and early in the afternoon once you're out east towards I-79 in western PA. The rain showers will stick around for a little while, and then as the cold air wraps back in, we'll see spotty flurries around the region. And we might have to watch Saturday night as the cold air wraps back in, and we've seen a little bit of moisture still lingering on surfaces, on roads and sidewalks and that sort of thing. Might have to watch for some patches of black ice here and there. I don't think this is going to be a huge issue because I think the rain's going to wind down pretty early in the afternoon on Saturday, but still, there's going to be a lot of meltwater because we're going to get up to about 40. Be a lot of meltwater, a lot of slush sitting around, and as we drop down well below freezing Saturday night, Sunday morning, might have to watch for some patches of black ice. All right, we've got a lot to keep track of over the next 24 hours, and we are your source for the most accurate forecasts and most frequent updates on air and online. I'll see you this evening on 21 News at 6 and 11, and I'll be checking in throughout the day on social media, Twitter and Facebook included.